Hello there, it's Michelle from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand, and I'm bringing you another global monthly video hop. So each month, myself and fellow demonstrators from around the world make projects based on a theme. And this month's theme is Favorite Suite. So in May, Stampin' Up! Came out with a new annual catalog. Lots of wonderful products in there, and they have a few suites, which means it's several products you can purchase all together. And this month, my favorite suite that I'd like to highlight is the Tea Boutique. Now that's on page 12, and with this suite you would get one of each of the products which are shown on page 13. So it has the wonderful cup of tea stamp set, the matching cup of tea dies. There's also some lovely designer series paper that's 6 by 6 inches. So you get 48 sheets of that, 4 each of 12 different double-sided designs, as well as the wonderful Tea Boutique cards and envelopes. So the colors for the paper and the envelopes are in the new in colors for this year. So these in colors will be available for this year and next year. In colors come out every year and they last for 2 years. So there are some of the products samples that Stampin' Up! Has created with this suite. If you want to order the suite, on page 12 there's a code for you to order all those products, or you can order them individually if you'd like. So I'm going to show you some of the things that you can make with this wonderful suite of products. And when you're done watching my video, have a look in the description below, and there will be links to the videos of the other demonstrators that are participating this month, and they'll be showing you their favorite suites. I don't know what their favorite suites are, and I really look forward to seeing if any of them also like this suite as much as I do. I will also, in the description of this video, have the names and the product codes for everything that I do use today and that I show you. So if you want to order it, you can easily get the details you need if you and talk to your demonstrator to order the products. If you're in New Zealand and don't already have a demonstrator, you can go to my website, michellekritchley.stampinup.net, to order products directly from me. I also have a blog, and I will be putting some of these photos and a little explanation of how I've made some of the projects that I will show you at the end of the video. So with this suite, as I said, there's the cup of tea stamp set. It's a photopolymer set, which means that it's see-through stamps, which makes it really good for 2 or 3 sets stamping, and it makes it really good for aligning your stamps. There's also the teacup dies. So there's dies that match a lot of the images here, so you can cut them out. And then there's some extra little dies that will just cut out things like the hearts or the slices of your lemon, or if you're doing it orange, to enhance your projects. There's also in this suite the Tea Boutique Designer Series paper. It's 6 by 6, so it's double-sided. So you get 6 by 6 sheet, 2 sides to each sheet. You get 4 of each design. So there's 12 designs, which I've shown here. And some of them are related to the tea, like the teacups, etc. And other ones are just floral designs and can be used any way you want. And then I will just carefully turn it over if I can. There we go. So you can see the pretty colors on the back. So we have some of the colors in the new in colors, as well as some other shades. The colors in the designer series paper, this pack, there's quite a few. There's 10 different colors. We have our in colors, which are Tahitian Tide, Starry Sky, Parakeet Party, Sweet Sorbet, and Orchid Oasis. And then also they use Crumb Cake, Crushed Curry, Garden Green, Petal Pink, and Fresh Freesia. So all those colors can be found on some of the sheets here. Some of the pieces of DSP have all the colors in them. Some of them only have a few. So today I'm going to show you a card just using 3 different colors. We're going to use crumb cake, crushed curry, and garden green to make a nice little uplifting card for somebody that might be feeling sick at the moment. And this is just a quick preview of the card I'm going to show you how to make, sorry. I will change it up slightly. I usually do that in my videos, but most of it will be the same. And the parts I change, you can easily figure out how to make the original. So I will take that away. The other thing that comes in the suite, if you were to purchase the suite, are the Tea Boutique cards and envelopes. They are in the different in colors. So we have our Sweet Sorbet, and they have cards, white cards with the color image on the front, and the matching envelopes. You've even got some flowers on the back. So there's Sweet Sorbet, there's Tahitian Tide, lovely blue. We have Orchid Oasis, and then you've got the pretty colors on the back. One of my favorite is the Starry Sky. I really like that deep blue. And then there is the Parakeet Party, which is the green. But they also have some of those other colors that I mentioned, the crushed curry, the petal pink, the garden green in there as well. I won't be using those, but I will show you some samples later on that have used these other DSPs in the cardstock. So to make the card that I'm going to show you today, we need the crushed curry cardstock background, so I cut that at 10.5 centimeters, and the full width of our A4 scored in half to make my card base, and then a smaller piece of basic white for the inside of the card. To save on DSP, I cut this just straight down at 3 inches. So I had the 6 by 6 inch piece of card DSP, and I cut it at 3 inches so I could just use the strip in the center. Because for cards here in New Zealand, if you cut it to fit right to the edges, you end up with an odd size left over. So I find quite often if I'm using the 6 by 6 DSP, I'll just cut it in half, and then I'll make up the difference with something else. So on here, I've just added a couple strips of garden green. So I've just cut a couple strips there. You could have a full piece of garden green behind it if you want, but you're not going to see what's in the middle, so I just do strips. So I only go a partial there. Then I've already used a die from the Natural Prints dies, which is new in the catalog. This is the die I've used for this. I've used it twice. So I've cut one in the crushed curry, and then I've also cut one in the basic white, which I'll be stamping on. I've used the teacup dies already to cut with the garden green the outline image of the leafy tea cup decoration, as well as a teacup. Now it comes out like this, and you can glue it together this way, but the reason I used die cutting, because there's also a stamp that matches it, is so I can turn it over that way and glue them together this direction, and so I can have a teacup handle on the left, so I can have one for either side. You'll also need some scrap of paper big enough to stamp your teacup and the tag and your lemon. Bit of twine for the tag, and that's pretty much it. So let's get started. So I'm gonna use my garden green and my words. So a lot of times when you're doing sentiments, you stamp the cardstock and then you die cut it afterwards. But with something that is going to be difficult to line up, if it's photopolymer and you can see through it, I like to cut my shape first and then stamp on it. And that way I know that I'm stamping in the right place. So we'll get some garden green on there, and then I'm just gonna, it fits quite tightly on this die cut. And there you go. So it's a little wonky, but I put my teacups wonky so it all kind of matches in with the theme. And I'll pop that aside for a moment. And then I also want, in the garden green, to do one of the teacups. So there's two different images in this set for stamping on your teacups. You've got the like leafy one and the striped one. Or you could die cut your teacup and leave it blank and then stamp some of the words right onto the teacup. So I'm just gonna put this somewhere it'll fit so I can die cut it. I always keep scrap paper around for small images that I want to do. There we go. Then I also need to, that's all the garden green for the moment. I am going to do my tag. So there's an outline for, it's not really a tag. Well, I guess it is. It's a tag for your tea. You know how when you have your tea bag, it has a string with a little tag on the end. Usually it tells you what flavor tea you have in there. Now with the die set with this suite, it's quite nice because you actually have two different sizes that are in this shape. And I've come to the conclusion that the bigger shape is actually supposed to be mimicking a tea bag, and the smaller one is supposed to be the tag going into it. But you can use them either way. There's lots of different words that will fit. So with here we have it's tea time, sweet would fit, I miss you, I just can't thank you enough, enjoy. You could even use it with to and from on the tag. So all those little words would fit inside here as well as the smaller die. So we've got two size dies here, and you actually get two of the small ones so you can cut things multiple times. It's sometimes good to have a back cut so you can sandwich the thread between them, but I'm going to pop this one up with dimensionals so I don't need a back to it. Now we're going to go with our crushed curry, and this one's going to be it's tea time inside the tag. And then I also need the crushed curry to do my lemon. Now this little wedge could be a lemon, it could be an orange, it could be a lime, anything you want. So there's also a die that cuts that out, although it's quite easy to cut by hand. The other nice thing with the dies is there's one, so we've got our die that will cut lemon out, lemon slice, to go along with my DSP. But there's also one that would cuts cardstock so it looks like you just have wedges. And again, that could be lemon, orange, lime, whatever you want that has wedges. So I also need my teacup and the bigger tag die. So I'm going to run that through the cut and emboss machine. The other nice thing with the set is it's made, the dies are all made that they will fit in the mini cut and emboss machine. So if you have the mini one, you'll be able to do that. So I will just put you on pause while I go do that. Okay, so I've got all my little bits cut out. And now these two strips I am going to emboss using the Fern 3D embossing folder. Again, this is a new one in the annual catalog. It's lovely, got some ferns, but it's actually got some areas that look faded a bit. So it's meant to come out with some parts not as deep as other parts. It's matches up with another suite that has some beautiful blue printed DSP that has that kind of look to it. So for this one, because I don't necessarily want the faded part to show up, I'm going to angle my cardstock when I put it in there. I could just do it straight, but I'm going to angle it, and then if I fold it down, I can kind of see what look I will get when I run it through the embossing folder. So that looks a bit faded, so I might move this part over a bit, and that way I can get more of the leafy look. And the reason I'm using that is because there is some leafy look in the background of the DSP I'm using. So I'm going to run it through that way, fold it side first, and I'll come back and show you. Okay, so I've run that through, and let's see if you can see. Some of the images are a bit more faded, like almost in the background, and it's meant to look that way. So if you get this folder and you use it and you find parts don't look as intense as other parts, that's actually how the folder is meant to be. And this was just a scrap piece I have, so I've got a ragged edge, but that won't matter because it'll be hidden. So let's put everything together. So I find the easiest thing for this card to get it more evenly spaced is to put the edge pieces up first and glue those down. And I made them slightly longer than they need to be, so I cut them I think at about 15 centimeters. So the longest part of my card, I've done them slightly over, and this, because I cut it straight down, it's 6 inches long, which is equals 15.3 centimeters, so it will be too long as well. But if I center these, so put them on so I have enough space above and below, then I can just cover up the center that way, and I should have even placement. So I will put some double-sided tape on the back of these. Is that the back? Yes, I did turn it over, didn't I? See, this one, because the way the fern comes out, it's not always easy to tell the front from the back. So I will just put a couple pieces on there. And if you ever wondered why it's called tear and tape, it's for this reason, that you stick it down. I find the easiest way to use it, stick it down, hold it in place, and just let it run. If you're doing a straight line, just let it run that way, and just pull it off. If you don't have nails to pull it off, you can always use a block. You don't really need to use scissors, because that would mean you set it down, pick up scissors, etc. So you could just use a block against the edge and pull up against the block, and then it pulls right off. So that's why it's called tear and tape, or tape and tear. I'm not sure which way it goes. All right. So peel up the edge. I like to do the tab way of doing it in case I do misalign it. Then I've only got a little bit of sticky down on my paper. So we'll just do that. And that way I only got a little bit stuck down, and I can pull it up and readjust it, because I am known for doing things crooked. So probably half a centimeter from the top. You could use your grid paper for alignment, which I might do since I have my grid paper here. Put that in the center, and then put that half a centimeter down. It's always more difficult when you're doing things on video, because you're aware that you're being filmed. Okay, so that's still gonna give me enough. That might be close. Let's see how this one is down here. If I do that half a centimeter, I'm still gonna have enough room. Nope. Yeah, that'll still give me enough room. Okay. I always find it helps to talk to yourself when you're doing a card making. I don't know if any of you do it as well, but sometimes I do talk to myself. But I'm not crazy. I'm just having a business meeting because I am self-employed, so there you go. talking to my staff. Okay, and again, we'll just use the grid paper to help us get it about 1/2 centimeter down, just so it looks even. And as I said, this was slightly longer, so I will trim off the edges, but I'll put the top piece on because that's slightly longer as well. There we go. Fortunately with this, it doesn't seem to be directional, so I can stick it down any way I want. If you are doing directional, make sure that you've got your, know which way your card opens before you stick things down. I've had that happen, and I've had people I teach do that, and we always laugh and say, okay, it's a left-handed card now. And a bit there. And then I like to do a little extra on the edges, especially on the front, because it might catch in the envelope. So hopefully you've seen the new catalog. If you haven't, contact your demonstrator to get a copy sent out to you. You can go on to the website and see all the products there under the new tab. It'll show you everything that's brand new. If you're in New Zealand and don't already have a demonstrator, feel free to contact me. You can go through my website to contact me, and I can either send you a catalog or send you a link to an online version of the catalog so you can see everything and see which is your favorite products. Okay, yep. See, I moved it. Did you see that? And then I could pull it up easily. That's the benefit of doing the tabs. And then you just pull gently. Gently, and again gently, and then just press it down. So now I'm just going to trim off that excess. Like I said, I did cut it long. So just turn it over, trim off your excess. Because I find if I try to cut it the right size, sometimes when I fold my card, I fold it and one side might be longer than the other. So that's why I just left it so I could trim it off, because that's easier to do than try to get it the right size. Because there's nothing worse than putting it on and then finding you're just slightly short on one side and nothing you can do about it after the fact. Okay. Now I'm loving the new in colors, even though I'm not using any for this card, but you'll see some cards I'll show you in a minute that use the new in colors. They are beautiful and they go together so well. Okay, oh, messing things up. So now we're just going to stick things down. So for this, to get the left-handed teacup, I'm going to use some glue and just put it, got to remember to put it on the opposite side. So you don't have to put glue all over this image, just, you know, on some of the thicker edges. I do usually like to use the adhesive sheets, but because this die cuts one direction and I'm using the opposite direction, adhesive sheets aren't useful in this scenario. Noisy trucks going by. Alright, so just a bit here. I do find if you get a bit of a blob of glue in one spot, just use the tip to help spread it out. So you don't have to push more glue on, push for more glue, just use the tip to help spread out what's there. There we go. And then pop it down onto your teacup. And using the liquid glue allows me to adjust it slightly to fit. Now when you do it this way and you use the reverse side, you will find that it's a bit rough on the edges because when you die cut things, one side, I should have shown you first, one side is smooth and the other side is a bit rough. So if you reverse it, you end up having the rough look. Now, if you're okay with that, fine. If you don't like that rough look, simply sandwich it between the two plates, run it through your die cut machine just between two plates, and it will smooth it out. So I'll do that and come back and show you. So I've just popped it on there, popped another plate on top, and ran it through a few times, and it smooths it down. It also helps to press the glue down better. The only thing is you might get some glue onto your plate, so you'll just need to give that a clean. And I find the best way to clean glue off the plastic or glass is hand sanitizer. So now, I don't know if you can tell, it is much smoother. It's smoother to the feel. So that's a little tip for you. Now, for here, they're both the same shape for my sentiment. Oh, that direction, I guess. Oh, they must not be exact on both sides. So if I stuck it there, you wouldn't see the yellow at all. So you could just push it down a bit. You could slice through the center and have a bit at the top and a bit at the bottom. But what I've done for mine is when I die cut it, I ran it back and forth a few times to get a nice dark impression of that outline there. And I'm going to use that to cut as my line to cut around. So I'm going to cut right where that line is. And that will make this the same shape but slightly smaller. And then when I put the crushed curry piece behind it, you'll be able to see it sticking out, and it will be the same shape. So I find sometimes getting the curves is not that easy. So if you have any die that gives you this like embossed part around the edge of it, and you want to do something like this, just run it through a couple times to make sure the embossed impression is very clear to see. Unless you're quite younger and have better eyesight than I do. But there we go, nearly done. If you don't want to cut that, as I said, just cut the piece behind straight through the center and then just spread it apart so you've got one on top and one on bottom, and you'll just have a little gap at the side. Most people don't really notice that. And nearly done here. Hopefully this is in focus. I'm watching my scissors and not the video, so I can't tell if that was in focus or blurry. So now this, put it on the right side. I can glue it on there, and then we have the nice yellow outline. Just a bit. You could pop it up on dimensionals if you wanted to give it a bit of height, but I'm going to put the whole thing up on dimensionals. So there we go. Now, let's put everything together. Oh, we need to cut our lemon. So cut our lemon wedge. I'm just going to cut it down the center where the white is. And pop our wedge, our teacup, and our tea. There we go. And then I'm going to put everything with dimensionals. I do need a bit of twine for that. For my little tag, so I'm going to cut a piece there. I'm just going to put a little tear and tape just to hold it in place before I put my dimensional on. And because it makes it less fiddly. So a little tear and tape there. Peel that off. And then I find it holds better if you fray the end slightly, so if you untwist your twine end to set it on the tear and tape, it will hold it in place better than just a straight, leaving it the normal way. So just pop that in there, spread it out, so we've got more touching the tear and tape than we would otherwise. And then I'm going to, on this guy, I'm going to pop a couple mini dimensionals, so it's not sticking up quite as high. So you can pop one right over your thread. And then this piece, I've got to figure out how long I want it to be. So I want it to come up maybe like there. And again, cut that a bit long. Put some tear and tape to hold it in place for the time being. And again, just untwist the end a bit so you can have better coverage on there. So these, everything else, I'm going to use my regular dimensionals. Oop. I like to cut my dimensionals in half because they last longer, but that center bit I'll put a full one, and then a couple small ones on the side. And let's see if I can get, I cut along my strips of dimensionals to get different widths for things. So I'm going to take what I've already cut and put that on the handle. Because the handle is really skinny. So pop that there. And then just a couple big ones on the sentiment. And then for here, I want to make sure my lemon is looking good, hanging over the edge. Don't want it to be too far in, so it's like hanging off the edge. And to hold it in place, I am going to put a dimensional right there. That will hold it where I want it to be. So I'll just put a dimensional to hold. You could glue it down in the front if you want. I'm not really concerned about that. And I'll do another. It doesn't want to come off my finger. And I'll cut another little snippet of the skinny part. So when you have your dimensionals, use all the bits. Use the edges. That's the nice thing with Stampin' Up! Dimensionals is they do cover the entire sheet, so you can use the edges. And I might just put a little one in the middle to give it some height. There we go. So my suggestion is you just kind of eyeball where you want things to go, and then you put the sentiment on first, because that way it will look more centered, because you don't want the sentiment straight down in the middle because you want your teacups down there. So you want it a bit higher, and you just got to see where it needs to sit based on your teacups. So I'm going to put it there, and then also some of the green background will pick out some of the yellow. So we'll put that there, and then pop our teacups down. if you have trouble getting your dimensionals off, you press in the center, the edges pop up and it peels off quite easy, the backings of your dimensionals. So if you don't have nails, you can also use the pick a tool to poke at them and get them up. Now this one I did them kind of at a whimsical angle. Here I think I'm just going to go more traditional, straight. And I don't normally use this many dimensionals on the backing, but being a bit over the top today. Oh, got one there. And then maybe there. And then this little guy we will have hanging off the edge. So you got two messages on the front of this card. You got take care of yourself and it's tea time. So can, I might just try to get it to go that way. There we go. So there we go. So that's the front of it. Now the inside, I'm going to change up slightly. Now my original card, I stamped the inside with the leaves and some crushed curry flowers, and that's sort of like what we have up there. But this one, I decided I wanted to add a tea bag to the inside. So I've got a lovely lemon and ginger tea bag, and I want that to be on the inside. So what I will do is I will use some of the paper that's left over, and I will put it on the side to create a pocket so it can slide into. And I was thinking I wanted to stamp it, "Let's get together soon." So it's always best to stamp before you stick things down in case you mess up or you don't like what it says. And that way you have the other side. There's two sides to every piece of paper, so you can use both sides. So I'm going to go with the garden green. And we'll just stick this over here. There we go. That looks good. So if I had smudged that or had it misaligned or something, then I could just turn the paper over and use that side. So we'll stick this down, and then we will put the pocket in. The other thing is the pocket could be used if you want to give them a gift card. You could maybe give them a gift card to, you know, favorite tea house, coffee house. We have Columbus Coffee here in New Zealand. I think we have Starbucks. Don't know if they do tea. I think it's called T2. There's a tea shop that you can buy tea. You could get a gift card for there and pop it in the little pocket. So again, I didn't put as much tape on the inside because you don't have to worry about sliding in and out on envelope, and people are probably not going to pull it up. Plus, I'm going to stick this on here. So for this one, I just want it around the edges, so I'm going to use just a little bit of glue, and I just eyeballing where I'm going to have it go to. So just a little bit of glue around the yellow. To hold it in place. Yep, that looks good. And then again, I'm going to put it in and then cut it off. So I'll put it in there, and the glue helps me to wiggle it into place. So I can pop it in there, turn it over, and make sure it's lined up to the edge. So the glue allows me to do that. If I did tear and tape, you can't wiggle it so much. But remember, I only need it to do 3 sides because it's going to be a pocket. Where's my bone folder? So just down that edge there where the glue is, and if I push hard enough, I get a nice little ridge as well, which gives you a kind of an embossed effect. I didn't realize that. That looks good, I think, so I'll go with it. Oh, that looks really good, I think. Huh. See, you learn something new all the time. So now I will just trim this part off. It might be easier to trim it this direction. Trim that off. Have a little scrap for later. And now I have a little pocket. So that's a bit of a change up from my original one. The original one, I just had it all stamped. You could stick, you know, a pocket somewhere else or just glue a tea bag in there. And then this one has a tea bag. And so when I press the edges down to get the glue to set, you see how I've actually kind of created an embossed edge. I like that. So there you go. That's one of the items made for my favorite suite, which is the Tea Boutique suite. And so we've got same card on the front and slightly different on the inside. Now let me show you some other things that I created with this favorite suite, because of course, being my favorite, sorry about that, I wouldn't just do one thing. So I also used another new product, the Cracker and Treat box die. So I used that to create a little box. Now the die makes it so it's actually 5-sided, but I wanted it to be flat, so I cut off one of the sides for the die. So the die comes with, you end up with 6 pieces and you overlap, 6 strips basically, that are scored, and you overlap one to glue it together and it becomes 5-sided. Well, I cut off one of them, and so I made it 4-sided. And then I used one of these pieces, which I believe is mainly for doing like cutting out sentiments, but I used that to cut a section in the center and put some window sheet there. And now it's a see-through little gift, and then I could put maybe a lip balm or something in there. This stamp set also has some flowers. You got the bigger flower, and then this is one stamp that has all the flowers in one. That's the flowers there, so you can stamp things like I did for the inside. That was just one stamp that did all those flowers. But there's a die that cuts them out, so I stamped some in different colors and cut them out, as well as a die that cuts out the bigger flower and cuts out the leaves. So I use that to decorate the edges and some of the new in color twine. And that's one of the DSPs from the set. So you can make a little box. I saw somebody else online, and then I made up my own measurements for this. This is a little box. Again, same colors came from the DSP, and this one is a thank you box that you open up and it has room for tea bags. And so I've got the perforated, the concertinaed edges, and then I do have a couple magnets in there, but it didn't hold very strongly. So that was my first attempt at doing a little box like that. So you can have that box. Let's move these aside. Then I also used a different set called Good Feelings. That's the stamp set with very big words on it. I've done a video, last month's Global Monthly video was in colors. So this one is using the 5 different in colors on one of those stamps. I show you how to do that in a video from last month, so if you'd like to see how to do that. Again, the DSP, and this is using one of those pretty envelopes for the background. So there's another one. I have just recently remade one that I did a year or 2 ago with, I believe it had a flower on the front. So I redid it with the teapot, a teacup and teapots, And then here's the tag, says I miss you. You pull it open and it says let's get together soon, again with the flowers, and I've got the brass butterflies there. And this one just opens up. And so that's how those flowers stamp. That one stamps all like that. So there's another one using the DSP and the stamps and the dies. Here's another one just stacking them. So the middle one I cut in the blue and then embossed the words on there, heat embossed the words on there so I could have it go the other way with the left-handed handle, and then just stamp the leaves in the color behind. And this is what I was saying before about this is actually I think meant to be the tag, and that's the tea bag that's supposed to be inside. I made it so the tea bag actually pops out. It says enjoy and can come out at the top there. And again, the Fern folder in the background. And this one I've just stuffed down with a glue dot, the tea bag. Here's one I saw Lisa Curcio, I think is how you pronounce her last name, from the US. So she showed a triple opening card. She called it a Z fold, but actually to me it looks like an M fold for Michelle, or it could be a W fold. But again, reverse, that's the same tea cup like I did there. And so you open the front, there's a message, then you open the other side, there's a message with the tea bag, got a bit of ink on there, and then open the last part. So that's a fun fold. If you want to know how to do that, if you look up Lisa's videos, I think she did that in the last month. And then last but not least, I made a bunch of little goodies, gifts for my customers. So it's using the DSP, all the different DSP from the set, and it's like a little matchbook fold. If you open it up, I've got mini post-it notes. These are for customers so they can take the post-it notes to mark what pages that they like from the catalog. So it's a simple little match fold. I might put a little message on the front. I haven't decided yet. I was just having fun making different things from this set, my favorite set. So I hope you've enjoyed all of that, and give me a thumbs up if you did. Make sure you look in the description to hop over to some of the other demonstrators to see what their favorite new suite is. If you're in New Zealand and you do want to purchase any of the products, you can contact me through my website. I do classes out of my home. I also mail out items that you can do stamping at your place. So if you want to order any kits to be sent to you, nothing is pre-stamped though that I send out. You need to use your own stamps at home, but you would get all the materials to put things together. So I hope you enjoyed that. Have a lovely day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.